Well, hello my lovelies, it's Murky Meg here. It's Sunday the 25th of September and this is my second video today, and this is the fourth part in the series of videos that I will be discussing Valentine Low's book, which is called Courtiers, the Hidden Power Behind the Crown, which is out on the 6th of October. I popped a link up in the right hand corner here, which will take you to all previous videos if you haven't already seen them. Now in this video I'm going to be talking about the tour that they did in 2018. And if you remember rightly, Meghan had just announced her pregnancy right before they flew on the tour. Now while this tour was happening, there were rumblings in Buckingham Palace about Meghan's treatment of her staff. And this is where Jason Naff wrote to the head of HR for the palace about some very serious problems concerning Meghan's behaviour. Now Jason Naff, who I said previously couldn't go on the tour because he had a broken collarbone, was in daily contact with staff on the tour, went on to say that the tour was very challenging and was made worse by the behaviour of the Duchess. He was particularly concerned about Samantha Cohen's well-being on this tour. Naff specifically asked what would happen if the Duchess turned on me next. He also made sure that he raised concerns of the very real possibility that Samantha Cohen could be struggling with the severe stress that could have to walk away from her position. While this was all going on, Harry and Meghan were continuing on their tour and apparently were going down, according to Valentine Low, an absolute storm. And her refreshingly informal approach to royal visits was proving a hit with the Australian public. When she turned up at the home of a farming family, she bought some banana bread. Now this was apparently the banana bread that was rumoured that she'd actually made, but in fact the aide had made it. I have to state allegedly there. Unfortunately, behind the scenes, all was not well. And Meghan failed to understand the point of all these walkabouts, shaking hands with countless strangers. According to several members of staff, she was heard to say on at least one occasion, "I can't believe I'm not getting paid for this." Actually, Meghan, you were getting paid from the taxpayers because you were getting a nice hefty sum from the Duchy of Cornwall. More than once, the staff felt that they were treated harshly. On one journey from Tonga to Sydney, Samantha Cohen was said to have a particularly torrid time of it. According to one source, Sam had been screamed at before the flight and during, to the point that she actually warned other members of staff to stay away from Harry and Meghan for the rest of the day. According to one source, David Manning, who was a senior royal aide and apparently a very reassuring presence during all tours, was said to have said, "You are dealing with a very difficult lady." Now, there is a particular moment that I'd like to discuss. It was when they were on a 5-hour flight from Tonga to Sydney. Now, generally what happens is that the press who are on tour, the Royal Rota, will be in the aeroplane with them at the back of the plane. The royals will be at the front of the plane, i.e. first class. Generally, if they're on that long flight, at some point, the royals, whoever they're with, will come back and have a little word with the press, thank them, and do pleasantries, basically, like any normal human being would do. But unfortunately, during this particular flight, Harry looked out of sorts because the relations between him and the media press pack had been prickly and strained, according to Valentine Low. Now, the press handlers had promised that Harry would come and thank the media for being there. Unfortunately, it was only after the plane had landed that the couple, i.e. Harry and Meghan, came and spoke to the press at the back of the plane. According to the extract, Harry looked like a sulky teenager. Meghan stood behind him, smiling benignly. Her only contribution was a comment about how much everybody must be looking forward to Sunday lunch at home. Harry sounded rushed, as if he couldn't wait to get back into the first-class cabin. "Thanks for coming," Harry said, "even though you weren't invited." But this was a lie, because the media had actually been invited to cover the tour. He was just being petulant. And the press found this spectacularly rude. Later on, when Harry's staff had actually addressed the situation with him and told him how the remarks had gone down with the press, do you know what Harry said? He replied, "Well, you shouldn't have made me do it." This is a man in his 30s that has never had to work a day in his life, that has been raised with a silver spoon in his mouth, that has so much contempt for people that are there to give him press, that he's so obtusely rude to the point of being obnoxious. Clearly, the press saw how rude he was, but nobody really understood what was happening behind the scenes with regards to Harry and Meghan and their own staff. They had rallied themselves and given themselves the name the Sussex Survivors Club. Even more shocking was that sources say the team came up with a damning nickname for Meghan, which was a narcissistic psychopath. And on many, many occasions reportedly said that the staff had been played. It's got to be particularly bad if your own staff call yourself a narcissistic psychopath, hasn't it? The extract also goes on and details the earring incidents. Now, I've made a video about this before, and it was about the earrings that were supposedly given to Meghan as a wedding present. Now, Meghan and her staff and her lawyer claims that they weren't Meghan's, they are in fact part of Buckingham Palace's jewels, when in fact no, they were given to Meghan as a wedding present by the Crown Prince Saudi Arabia Mohammed bin Salman. She wore the earrings to a state dinner in Fiji. Now, we all know about those earrings. I've discussed them on multiple occasions, and the connections between Mohammed bin Salman and the journalist Jamal Khashoggi, who was murdered in the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. Now, it's been widely suggested that the Crown Prince had actually personally ordered Khashoggi's killing, and the fact that Meghan wore these earrings after the event was even shocking, and it sent ripples throughout the world. Obviously, it was addressed, they said they were loaned, they weren't loaned, they actually belonged to Meghan, and they were actually worn at a second event, which was an outing at Buckingham Palace on the 70th birthday for what was then Prince Charles, now King Charles' birthday. Now, the staff have reportedly talked to Valentine Low and said that we made the decision not to confront Meghan and Harry on the earrings out of fear of what their reaction would be. When the news hit in 2021 that it was in fact her own earrings, Meghan's lawyer Schilling said at no stage did the Duchess tell staff that the earrings were borrowed from a jeweller, as this would have been untrue, and therefore any suggestion that she encouraged them to lie to the media is baseless. So it's very, very strange. When they were first worn, it was said, actually, no, they're not hers, they were loaned. But that was misleading. And whoever's responsible for misleading, we still don't know. Apparently, Harry was said to have been told about the provenance of the earrings after Meghan wore them again at King Charles's birthday, and apparently he was said to have looked shocked that people knew where the earrings had come from, although the Sussex's lawyers deny he was ever questioned about their provenance. 2 days later, after Schillings released that statement, they said again that the Duchess is certain that she never said that the earrings were borrowed from a jeweller, because they were claimed that they were borrowed from Chopard. The lawyer continues that it is possible she said the earrings were borrowed, which is correct, as presents from heads of states to the royal families are gifts to Her Majesty, the Queen, who can then choose to lend them out to members of the family. But apparently this is not the case. If the earrings were loaned by the Queen, the staff would have originally said so, and they would have never have been referred to them as being loaned. That is a word that is not used with regards to jewellery that is being worn on the monarch's request or bequest. It's clearly stated that these were a wedding gift for Meghan. Apparently, Meghan's lawyers argued that she had no idea about Sheikh Mohammed's involvement in Khashoggi's murder. However, as this extract says, Meghan once told a gathering, International Women's Day, that she read The Economist because she sought out journalism that is really covering things that are going to make an impact. Between mid-October and early November 2018, The Economist ran at least 2 articles examining the role of Sheikh Mohammed in Khashoggi's murder. So it's systematic. We have a very difficult Duchess, don't we? Or it seems to be the case that the staff and palace aides were rumbling behind the scenes, and all was not well on the tour of Australia, Fiji and Tonga. Now, in the next video, I'm going to be discussing what happened with the break of the Royal Foundation when the two houses split. I'm going to be covering that. At the moment, I would love to know your thoughts on all of this. Are we getting justification of everything that we thought that had happened behind closed doors with this book? The rumblings were always there. Are we vindicated yet? I'd also like to know your thoughts on Harry's little tantrum on the plane. As always, I'd love to know your thoughts. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit the notification bell and also that like button. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all of my followers for all the tips and all the emails, DMs that everybody sends to me. It really is greatly appreciated. So thank you very much for watching once again.